I have been finding ways to express and create that are uniquely and wholly and authentically me. And I realized that like my Greek identity is so much a part of that. And I'm a musician and I love dancing. Ecstatic dance saved my life in a way. We could talk about that another time. But basically what I want to do is I want to take traditional Greek folk music, which just many people have not, the music has not reached many people's ears, especially here in America. And I want to take it and produce it into modern ecstatic dance type music that is very accessible to a cohort of people, another community of mine that I can bring to them so that they would love to dance to, but be hearing new sounds and new rhythms.
I'm gonna hit record. Oh, I can kind of see the sun a little bit. Like the... Okay, so here we are. Still sitting in the rain.
Still sitting in the rain.
The sun
3 hours
is setting.
later.
I mean, I kind of can see it, but like, why is it also raining? I'm so confused.
Probably because we're out in the middle of nowhere, so there's a lot of clouds still that are moving that way. Well, the sun's over there, especially because the sun's coming down now, so the clouds are over.
Okay.
I'm no meteorologist.
You what? What? I mean, I don't know if I could be.
All right. Well, I don't know. Should we turn this off?
Yeah.
All right. This just ruined a great week that Beth and I have had.
What are we talking about here, guys?
So we're gonna talk about Greek stuff.
Yeah.
But if you have something you want to talk about later, we're going nowhere.
What kind of Greek stuff?
Well, yet to know about the Greek stuff.
Yeah, I'm talking about my heritage and these gifts that I'm making for people.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. You. Okay, so introduce yourself so people know who you are, where you're from, what you're about, and what your favorite flavor of ice cream is. That's important. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Yanni Metaxas. I am born in New York City, raised in the suburbs, currently living in Brooklyn. I do my grand tour of New York. And we're here at the Burn 2023 with my good friend Beth. What am I about? I mean, honestly, it's been a journey. Life's amazing. And I just, there's so much I want to share with the world and spread love and joy and light and creativity and give back. So, because I've experienced and taken in so much. So I think that's what I'm about. I'm about experiences and connections and love and light. Yeah, my favorite flavor of ice cream is hands down chocolate. We gotta go with the classic.
Okay.
Love chocolate. Sipping some good hot chocolate right now. Am I out of focus? I think I'm good. Yeah, and what I got in my hands right here is called a komboloi in Greek, which doesn't really have a direct translation, but we call them worry beads in English. And these are a fun little gadget that I keep around with me, and there's a lot of historical and cultural context and backgrounds to these guys.
Okay, so tell us about that background that we don't know about.
Cool. Greek worry beads. So, growing up, I just remember these guys, some really big, some really small. This is like an average size one. These guys are just like hanging in Greek people's homes. Like you just go to like my aunt's house, my house, and my grandma's house. You just have this stuff hanging. And and people put them in their cars. They put them everywhere. You see them everywhere. But then, there's a lot of Greeks in New York, but of course, we're decentralized unless you live in Astoria. So I go to Greece every summer, and in Greece every summer, you walk whether you're in the city or the village or the country, wherever it is, and you just have these old Greek grandpas just wearing their hats, sitting outside on a chair, so dark from just sitting in the sun all day, every day, no shirt on, and they're just sitting there playing with these guys in their hands like this, and different ways, counting them, and kind of just watching people pass by with just a stoic look on their faces. I was feeling like you're being judged, especially as an American.
Yeah.
They're being judged by the Greek grandpas. But these are just people who've lived a lot of freaking life. They've seen a lot. They've done a lot. And this is their way of unwinding, of dealing with anxiety or stress. They're called worry beads. So if you want to think of this cultural phenomenon that overtook America in the last 10 years of fidget spinning, this is the idea that the Greeks invented. So, I don't know if they invented it, but it's very prevalent.
Kind of seems like it.
And it looks very similar. Beth was saying earlier that it looks like mala beads,
Yeah.
and it could look like rosary beads in the Catholic tradition. The interesting and unique thing about it for the Greeks is that there is zero religious context to them. They're totally secular. They really are just used in a anxiety, fidget spinning, stress relieving sort of way. So they do come from that lineage. That's where this idea comes from, right? And you get an odd number of beads on it. There's context to that all. And I can talk a lot more about how they're made, what they're made of, and things like that, but that's what they are.
Okay. So why did you decide to start making them?
It's a great question. So, being a Greek American, especially a second and partly third generation one like myself, the more generations removed we get, the harder we have to work towards holding on to our culture and our heritage. I think that's true for any culture, but especially for the Greeks, who are small but mighty people. They always say Greeks are everywhere, which we are, but there also just isn't a lot. Less than 1% of Americans are Greek by heritage. And so I grew up going to Greek afternoon school, speaking the learning the language, hanging out with my grandparents, going to Greece every year. But I was definitely, I'm American. I was raised in New York. And so when I went to college, I chose a university, Boston University, that had a very strong Greek department, so I can work on my Greek skills. And, those 4 years of college were really, really fantastic.
Sunset ride?
I don't think I can go on the sunset ride.
Doing that.
Yeah, no, my bike's... I'm going to get swallowed by the earth if I go on a bike ride, sunset ride.
So, for context, with the camp we are at is called Swing City.
Swing City!
Woo! And we go on a sunset ride every night as a camp together out into what is called Deep Playa. It's the very edge of the limits of Burning Man. And we go and we watch the sunset together, which is now. And it has been raining for many hours, and the ground, which is made out of dried mud, is now wet mud. And if we ride our bikes, we're going to get absolutely coated in mud, and I do not look forward to that and don't think I want to participate.
I'm not going to do that either. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to make our own worry beads.
Yay!
I'm going to make one for Beth. Because I have my own, so
Okay.
I'm going to gift Beth this.
Are there any rules?
Are there any rules?
Like, do they have to form like a certain number or pattern or style?
Traditionally, there are 17 or 13, usually some odd number. I don't know the specifics of why.
Okay.
But you have those down there, and you have one up top over here. They can be made out of silver. They can be made out of wood. They can be made out of plastic. They can be made out of beads. They can be made out of a variety of different colors and textures. This one is a dark brown one. This one actually has a smell to it. I bought it years ago, so I don't know if you still smell
it does, yeah.
So this one has the smell of one that you would smell in like a Greek church, which they fill with incense. So they have that I don't know how, built into those. And so when I first bought that, I hung it in my car, and my car just smelled beautiful for a long time. And generally there's this like fizziness at the end here, and you can get really like elaborate and beautiful ones. And I mean, there are people in Greece who's like they make a living out of making these, hand making them. Monks in monasteries will make these. But again, totally secular. It's their Greekness. It's their heritage. It's not a religious thing.
Okay.
So yeah, and my journey, I studied modern Greek studies at Boston University, and I really got to connect with my heritage and culture in a way that I hadn't before, and it was really phenomenal and wonderful. And in the years since, I have been finding ways to help share my heritage with the world. It's something that my parents worked hard to share with me growing up, and I think that there's so much beauty in both the Greek culture, but also just in the ethos of America, right? You got your like melting pot, or what's the other term that they call it? Mixing bowl.
Yeah.
Like a fruity mixing bowl where you have like tomatoes and cucumbers and lettuce and onion and feta, but like each person is different in America, but they contribute to make this beautiful country. Well, yes, very beautiful country. All countries are beautiful, but all countries have their whatevers.
Yeah. We'll save it for another conversation another day.
So what I've been doing now in the default world, I have been finding ways to express and create that are uniquely and wholly and authentically me. And I realize that like my Greek identity is so much a part of that. And I'm a musician, and I love dancing. Ecstatic dance saved my life in a way. We could talk about that another time.
Okay.
But basically what I want to do is I want to take traditional Greek folk music, which just many people have not, the music has not reached many people's ears, especially here in America. And I want to take it and produce it into modern ecstatic dance type music that is very accessible to a cohort of people, another community of mine, that I can bring to them so that they would love to dance to, but be hearing new sounds and new rhythm. I also think that it would be a really cool way to get my Greek community to discover the ecstatic dance community. If they hear, Yanni is playing Greek music with a twist, let's go support him, let's go check him out. Maybe they can discover some spiritual healing and in the same ways that I did by walking through the doors of an ecstatic dance. And so that's what I'm working on in the default world. And I decided while I'm here at my first burn, I thought that a great gift would be to be able to carry around little packs of beads and Greek letters and some string, little scissors, and make my friends their own little personal Greek word beads that they can play with and take home with them and have a little tchotchke and a little token and a little memory. So that's what we're doing over here.
Okay, so two things I want you to explain. What is ecstatic dance? Because I'm sure a lot of people don't know about what it is.
Yeah, ecstatic dance is a beautiful form of freeform dance where there is a DJ. It's basically like a dance party. You have a DJ who plays a set, or multiple DJs who play sets, but it is a substance-free dance. There is no alcohol that you can purchase at the event, and you are actually asked to respect the no drugs, no alcohol, no substance use before coming there. And it's called ecstatic dance because there is a tradition. I believe it comes out of some African tradition, but I know that the ecstatic dance as the movement started in Hawaii, I want to say 15-ish, 20 years ago.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's now worldwide. You can go to any city, any big city, any country. They have them in most countries. And the idea is to, I don't want to say the idea, because you're encouraged to have your own experience, whatever you need or want from it, to cultivate it. But it's called ecstatic dance because when releasing your inhibitions and really allowing yourself to move authentically to the rhythm and the music in a communal setting, you can achieve and attain ecstasy. You can experience ecstasy through dance and music, rhythm, and community alone. And it's something that has really taught me how to embrace my uniqueness and my true authentic self, like finding the energy in my body and feeling which way it wants to flow and allowing it to flow that way. And in doing so, it helped me really unlock a lot of me that maybe I was taught or conditioned to sort of repress a little bit, and I was able to bring that with me to the outside world everywhere that I go. So ecstatic dance is near and dear to my heart, and the ecstatic dance community in New York City, where I live, is just phenomenal. And I just recently went to an ecstatic dance in Melbourne, Australia, when I was down there.
Amazing.
And it felt very familiar, like I was returning home. Like I walked in, I didn't know anybody, I went by myself, and I just had the time of my life, and it felt very familiar. It was the same idea, the same movement was happening. It was really beautiful.
I love that. That's, I mean, community, when you like get tapped into something, it's so nice that you can go to another country and feel like you are at home.
I totally agree with that.
Acro for me also.
Okay.
And surfing.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
I've done acro in Australia, in Thailand, in Bali, in Puerto Rico, in California.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and it's like you literally never feel alone because you're like, I'll find my people somewhere.
Yeah, is it something that you have to like seek out when you travel, or is it more of like there are established communities everywhere you go there, and so you can just slot right in?
It depends. Like some places, like Puerto Rico, I had to do a bit of work to find the community and like show up and like put in effort. But then when I did, they're like stoked to have more people.
That's awesome.
You know?
All right, I'm going to interrupt for a second and
Yes.
ask you. So I'm personalizing each of these rary beads. I have all these Greek letters here. Do you want your initials? Do you want an expression in Greek? Like, what can I put for like 2-3 letters long?
Okay. Let's do a Greek expression.
A Greek expression?
Yeah.
Okay. What vibe are you going for?
Let's go for joy.
Joy. Joy. I feel like a lot of the Greek expressions are very expressions of frustration.
They're like, joy? Man, who needs it?
Joy. So we can say like oppa, which is probably what we should do.
Okay.
It's our, there really is no direct translation into English, but we say oppa all the time when we're dancing, when plates smash accidentally. It's an expression of excitement. And,
Okay.
And a lot of times when there's joy involved, someone just shouts out oppa. So oppa is a really great one. I love that for you. And that is with an omega,
Okay.
a pi, and an alpha, or omega, pi, que alpha, as we say in Greek.
Yeah, okay.
So I gotta find these guys in here, and then we'll almost be done.
Incredible. Has it been difficult to make these while here?
Yes, a little bit. I found that I've kept all these beads in these like containers, and I have these little portable scissors, and I'm carrying them in my fanny pack, which I wear everywhere I go. However, with just the climate and the terrain and the just overwhelmingness, the delightful overwhelmingness of everything that's going on, there are few opportunities to be able to just sit down and converse with somebody in a context where I can easily make it with like a table or something. There, or like where I'm sure that we're not moving for a while, so I have time to do it. But in those opportunities where we have, it's been really wonderful. It's been good to get to know people, share stories, and give them a little piece of me and my heritage.
I love that.
And so one thing you were saying about like communities, and this is another thing that I have found with the Greek communities, like I said earlier, we Greeks are everywhere, and every time I travel, I'm able to find the Greeks, and whether it be the church or some festivals that are going on, or just Greek speakers who live in the town, it's always good to find them and be able to converse, because especially for Greek Americans, but even just all Greeks, we have shared heritage and history, and there's a familiarity to it, whether it's ecstatic dance, surfing, acro, or just a heritage, a group of people who've been through a lot together. There's always a lot of familiarity and joy and bonding that comes with that. So I have not. Now that I think about it, I don't know if I've found another Greek person here at the Burn yet. I mean, I know there are. I know some Greek people who come to the Burn. I just haven't seen them here. But it would be really, really lovely to find some. And I think maybe in like future Burns, what I need to start doing is finding more large scale offerings. Like maybe make some Greek food for people, or we can set up like Greek dancing booth and like do some Greek dance and like really fun, cool stuff like that. And if that's the case, you definitely have to bring these worry beads, and you definitely have to shout out Opa when you're there.
Yes. I'm sure you've seen it. I can't remember if I was with you or not, but they're out on Playa on the way to the Man. There is a hug deli.
A hug deli?
You haven't seen it?
Oh, I saw it briefly, but not like while I was biking. I wasn't able to stop there.
Okay, so the hug deli, there is this booth set up, and you go up to it and you can order different kinds of hugs.
Got it.
And in order to get the hug, you have to pay a compliment.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And it's run by volunteers, so it's not like a theme camp or anything that's running.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's kind of like an art installation in a way, and random people just go and like volunteer their time to give hugs and get compliments.
That's so cool.
So I was thinking you could do something like that. Like you give someone Greek things in exchange for them giving you maybe like a piece of their heritage, or something like that.
All right, so let's implement that idea now.
Okay.
What compliment or piece of your heritage can you share with me?
Okay, so I don't really know that like heritage to me is like all that important, because like my background is so just like European, general, and I've grown up in the United States. Well, I've spent time in Spanish-speaking countries, but it's not my heritage. It's like my area of emphasis and focus, and it is part of my background and journey. But I would like to pay you a compliment. So a compliment that I would like to give you is that I feel like you are very expressive and articulate in a way that is more nurturing than most men I have experienced, and I find it very refreshing.
Oh, thank you. That is so sweet.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Here is your komboloi, your worry beads. It says Opa over there.
Okay.
And so, again, a little tutorial if you want. You can, like, here are mine.
Oh, I don't know. The camera's out of focus, but it exists.
It exists. So you can sort of, like, find the halfway point and toss some of the beads to the other end.
Okay, halfway. I don't know. This is rough.
Something like that.
Okay.
It doesn't have to, and you can want to, like, sort of lay them in between fingers. I like the middle finger and the pointer finger.
Okay.
Because I think I have the most dexterity that way.
Okay.
And you can, like, flip them over. Exactly.
Okay.
Perfect. And then you'll find ways to, like, sort of do it one-handedly over time, but you kind of just reset that. Or you can go each finger at a time, so from like the pinky to the ring finger to the middle finger to the pointer finger to the thumb. What other people do is, and this is, I don't do this very much, but I love it when I watch the old Greek grandfathers do this. They just sit and they just push the beads, and you'll just go and you'll be in the village and you'll see these Greek grandfathers do this, and you'll go somewhere and you'll come back 2 hours later and they're sitting in the same spot doing the same thing. They just push their beads, like literally just feeling it through their fingers and the pressure of it, and then they'll get to the end of it and then they'll just turn it around and they'll go the other way. It's a little too like slow and not enough action for me.
Okay.
I like the physics of the motion and the feeling and the hearing, the auditory, listening to the beads, flipping them around, doing like tricks with them. So
yeah, this is an OG fidget spinner for sure.
yeah, literally. So yeah, absolutely. When those fidget spinners came out, like all my friends and I, we just all looked at each other and we were like, "This is a Greek komboloi.
Yeah.
Like, this is why don't we just do this in America?" Like, so yeah. And what I've seen now in Greece is the younger generation. So the younger generation, for whatever reason, when I was growing up, just did not carry these around or play with these. But what I'm seeing now is that a lot of people in the younger generation are reclaiming these in different styles and varieties, whether it be through their music and like singing or rapping about it, or in their outfits, like finding ways to sort of put this design of like beads or phrase on. We have a lot of phrase in Greek outfits as well.
Okay.
But I find that really cool and really beautiful, and yeah.
Incredible. Okay, so there was something else that you wanted to talk about, and it was your music.
My music.
Yeah.
We did talk about that a little bit. I can
Tell me
elaborate on
more.
that. Sure.
Tell us more.
Sure. So we talked about my music from the aspect of my heritage and sort of what I want to do with that. But I've been a musician my whole life. I'm a violinist, and I play a little bit of piano and guitar, but not as much. But I'm a singer as well. And so before the pandemic, I was actually singing and making music and acting for a living. It was my main form of income and expression. I was in an off-Broadway musical where I like played violin on stage as well as was a part of the ensemble, and it was a lot of fun. And then COVID came around, and COVID changed everything for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And there just wasn't opportunity to make a lot. There wasn't a lot of opportunity to continue making money off of these expressive forms, and a lot of my friends took the route of being able to explore projects that they had never gotten to, that they always said they wanted to do. And for me, I actually really didn't take that route. I went through a big sort of life journey during the pandemic, and the music was there. It was there on the side, but I really took just different routes to focus on that healing, and ecstatic dance being one of them. But I still keep music a big part of what I do today. I'm actually in a semi-professional Christmas caroling group.
Oh.
So every year we dress up in Dickens regalia with the top hat and the long coat, the ascots and all the above. And we are hired to sing at house parties, corporate holiday parties, and the like. And it's a really great gig. We do that all over the tri-state area. There actually is, our company has 2 regions. There's the tri-state area, and then there's LA.
Oh, okay.
And I bet I don't know if they travel to San Diego or not, but they're definitely in LA and do the surrounding LA area. And it's just like a really great way. I've been doing that for 5 years now, and that actually continued through the pandemic in the outdoors in 2020, 2021.
Wow.
But yeah, this is a great way that I can keep making some extra money on the side and staying in touch with music and just doing something so fun.
Yeah.
So I always find like little projects that I can work on, and the big journey now with the violin will be shifting gears. We violinists, 99% of us grow up, maybe 90% of us grow up learning classical violin. It's the standard, and I think for a lot of musicians, there's a turning point where they, unless they do classical music their whole careers, where they branch out and they start taking what they've learned in a very very technical context and applying it to a form of art or style that they want. And you just, it's a little more rare with violin compared to other instruments. So you think of jazz, you don't think of the violin, but there is jazz violin. When you think of jam bands and rock, you don't always think about the violin, but there is violin.
Yeah.
And there are all these really great ways of branching out the violin, but it's hard because the violin is a very hard instrument to do so. And this is what I want to do. I want to do more of that ecstatic dance type music. But that's going to be a big journey for me because it's going to be, there's so much structure in learning the violin, so much structure and technicality to it that I'm going to really have to be my own teacher as I branch into playing over music that I've produced or over music that I want to, and what style I want to do, and how I express myself, how I translate what I'm feeling into a more improvised state of violin, which is just not how we were taught. We weren't taught to improvise, and I think that that's been a big takeaway from me from the pandemic and from a lot of the work I did on my personal journey and from the ecstatic dance, is realizing that I was taught violin in a context of, here is some music and here's how you play this person's music and here's how you play it really beautifully and really well. And finding my voice on the violin is scary for me. And people will hear me play. I started playing violin when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
And so I'm good at it technically because I've put in probably over 10,000 hours of violin in my life. And so people can hear me play something and they'll be like, how could you be hesitant, or how could you think that you're not like excellent or phenomenal? And it's not that I don't think those things. It's more so that this is like linked to this personal journey that I'm on, and it's about like the confidence that I know the basics of the instrument, how to work the instrument, and now I just got to trust myself to allow my expression to flow through and come out. So that's the next chapter of music.
Okay. So, thank you for sharing. If you have advice for anyone who wants to do any of these things that you've talked about, in their own personal way, what advice would you give someone who's like about to start tapping into their culture or sharing a part of them that's scary, or, like doing something new and different? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think being a student of the world means like celebrating knowledge and tradition and history. And what I mean by that, or how I think we can all relate to that, is for most of my life, I was always worried that, if I didn't know something, or like if I said I'm a violinist and then people say play this or do that and I didn't know how to do it, like I would be really scared that would be like a flaw that we're showing to the world. And I think as adults, our brains are always plastic, have a lot of plasticity, but they're most plastic and elastic when you're kids, right? So it only becomes more rigid and difficult to really break through a lot of whatever stories you might have created as an adult. And so I think when I meet people, I meet some Greek Americans who are my age or older, and they don't speak a lick of the language, or maybe they didn't travel to Greece growing up or something like that, and they express some express sorrow, some express regret of not learning the language, and they feel like it's too late. And that's where I think it's like, even like coming to the burn. I don't know if you feel this way, tell me if you do, but I feel like telling people that I'm a virgin at the burn, this is my first burn, it changes the interaction immediately, whether the person I'm talking to is experienced or they're a virgin too, because there's this sense of like, oh, you've never done this before, so you've never seen or experienced the things that I have. And not to be hierarchical, but like it's excitement. It's like, oh wow, like this is really cool that you're going to be experiencing it for the first time.
Yeah.
Or with like another version, it's like, oh cool, like we're doing this together, right? And so I think that's like the open-mindedness to learn. I think most people, I think, are not judgmental in that regard. And if they are, then like, you know, maybe they're not people that you want to like talk to or learn from anyway, right? So I found that so many of my mentors and my teachers are so excited to share knowledge and information with me. So just being able to ask, like, if you want to start learning Greek, go take a beginner's Greek course. Go find a tour guide in Greece who can show you around. Make some plans with friends and just do it. And really, you know, we learn the most from the mistakes we make, not the successes, right? So, like, I learned violin at 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. years old, and I did not learn that from just taking the violin out and, like, kind of not ever doing it when people were watching, but then, like, get it right and, like, that. No, I did it through practicing, like, learning, like, those sounds don't sound good. That doesn't feel right. Like, and like keep practicing that. So really with anything, it's production. Music production will be something that is totally brand new to me. I know almost nothing about music production. The only music production I've experienced was when I was in college and we made 2 albums, my a cappella group. I was in the room with the producers who were producing the music. So I got to make a lot of decisions with the audio sound, but I wasn't doing any of the production itself, and I didn't ask or learn how to do that. So it really is all new to me, and it's going to be a journey. It's going to take time. It's going to take time to get to the point where I like have this vision for the sounds that I want on a track, to when I'm like actually in a room clicking play for like a lot of people. And it's a little daunting, but the thing is, like, I'm 28 years old now, and it's like, if I start now, by the time I'm 40, like, where do we think I'll be?
Yeah.
Even if I just put in, 30 minutes a week, or just a couple of months out of the year, like, where will I be at 40 versus if I'm at 40 and I look back and I never started it, then I'll be 40 and I'll be that much older and I'll be like, oh, well, now I really can't do this, right? So I think that's my advice.
Okay, I love it. Yeah. So my last question for you, which I ask everyone, is if you have to go to the airport, who's your ride?
It's a really great question. It's got to be my dad. It's got to be my dad.
Let's go.
I mean, like, mom is 1A, but like 1 or 1B, but like dad is, it's like if I can do both, I'd say both, and let's say both my parents, but definitely dad. Dad is Baba in Greek, as I call him, a really great guy, and he just has a lot of love and just, wants to provide for his family and does provide for his family and make sure that we're all safe and feeling seen. And even though I live in Brooklyn and he lives about 50 miles north of me, every time I travel, he's like, do you want me to like take you to the airport? And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, you got to drive 50 miles to me, then you got to drive through traffic to the airport, and then you got to go home. But he's always willing to do it, and he always does it out of love and with a big smile on his face. And my dad and I get to bond over really, really cool and fun things when we're alone. So that's my dad.
So sweet. I love that. Yeah. Okay, well, that's it. That's the thing.
That's the thing. We did the thing. We did it.
Yeah.
It's also so dark now. You
I
can
know.
See, like,
it's so dark.
Wow.
I'm so glad I brought this light, because otherwise this would not have happened. So thank you. Now you're going to become a YouTube celebrity. And when that happens, please take me on a trip to Greece.
Absolutely. I'll take you on a trip to Greece before that.
Okay. When you're a minor celebrity?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
At any point in my celebrity status, I will take you to Greece, okay?
I love it. I love it.